Better than 22,000 of this building once again for the defending NBA champions. It is Game 2 of the Eastern Conference semifinal series, matching the Indiana Pacers and the Detroit Pistons. The Pistons taking Game 1 here on Monday night and doing it impressively. A 15-point victory. Hi, everybody. I'm Marv Albert along with Steve Kerr and Craig Sager. And here is a look at the McDonald's starting lineups. First, for the Pacers, Steven Jackson, just 6 of 19 in Game 1 up front with Jermaine O'Neal and Dale Davis. Jamal Tinsley in foul trouble early on this past Monday night. And Reggie Miller just 3 for 7. Indiana looking for more shot opportunities for Reggie. For Detroit, Ben Wallace set the tones at both ends. 21 points, 15 rebounds, 4 steals for Big Ben. Chauncey Billups, 7 assists. He was more of a setup guy. And Rip Hamilton, big game with 28 points. And Steve, the Pistons are not taking anything for granted. They're well aware how the Pacers responded after they were blown out by the Celtics in Game 1 of that opening round series. Indiana winning at Boston in Game 2 to even up the series at 1.
Well, Mark, so often we talk about playoff adjustments, and frequently they're more emotional in nature than strategic, and I think that's what you're going to see from Indiana tonight. They felt they were outworked in Game 1. Whether they were tired or not from that 7-game series with Boston, who knows, but they know that they were out-hustled and outworked by Ben Wallace and company in Game 1. Look for a much more intense game from the Pacers here tonight.
Yes, it appeared the Pacers had very little energy in that first game, a step slow. Jermaine O'Neal said he got tired in the second half, and he felt it showed up some of his shot selection following a strong start. The officials, Ron Garrison, Mike Callahan, Sean Corbin, and the tip controlled by Detroit. Phillips met by Tinsley.
And right away we do see one adjustment. Steven Jackson on Rip Hamilton rather than Reggie.
Here's Rasheed Wallace from downtown. The other night, Rasheed just 3 of 13 from the field.
Yeah, he's normally a very good three-point shooter. A little cold in Game 1. That's an important shot for him early in Game 2.
Keller gets it down low. Here is O'Neal. Rebounded by Wallace. Hamilton pushing. And he's wide open. Richard Hamilton with the open 15-footer.
Very poor transition defense. You're talking about some cross matches here tonight. That means Steven Jackson will be guarded by Prince at one end, but he's guarding Hamilton at the other. That could confuse both teams in their transition.
Beautiful entry pass by Tinsley to set it up for O'Neal.
Well, Jermaine was terrific in the first half of Game 1. As you said, Marv, he felt like he wore down in the second half. Looks like they're trying to go to him early here tonight.
He had his first 5 of 8 from the floor, and then things were different in that second half. Wallace on a fadeaway. So the Pistons have come out and hit 3 of 4 to take a 7-2 lead.
Anytime a great player like Rasheed Wallace has a slow night shooting the ball, he's going to come out a little more focused, a little more aggressive.
Last touch by Detroit.
Rasheed was 3 of 13, as you said the other night, Marv. Look at him taking the one bounce, using that speed to get around O'Neal, knocking down the jumper. He's a beautiful shooter, especially for a man his size.
And here is Miller on his first attempt, one-handed by Wallace. Chauncey Billups gets it down low to Rasheed Wallace. Crowd wants Rasheed to shoot. He does, but way off. Rebounded by Davis. Question tonight for Indiana, how do they get Reggie Miller more involved?
Well, we talked to Rick Carlisle before the game. He said if we can get out in transition, then Reggie can get some better looks. That's how he had those big nights against Boston in Games 2 and 3 of that series.
Good job by Prince not allowing Jackson to make a move. Now he gets to the baseline and is turned back by Wallace, who made the save.
You can't score against Detroit by over-dribbling.
Phillips with a nice lead. Tayshaun Prince had the mismatch, and Chauncey Billups able to spot it.
Already, Marv, we've seen a couple of transition hoops for Detroit that were a result of that change defensively that Indiana made with Jackson and Miller. You saw a cross match again there. Prince winds up with Jamal Tinsley on him, and he gets the easy lay, and it was all started by this at the other end. You see the mismatch. Tinsley on the much taller Tayshaun Prince, and nice pass by Billups.
Getting back to the offensive end for Indiana, I mentioned that Rick Carlisle talking about getting Reggie Miller more involved with 7 shots the other night in game 1. He has not had a breakout game since the 33 points against the Celtics is way back in game 3 of the opening round series.
Well, and this is going to be a tough series for Reggie because he's got to chase people at one end off on defense. And then on offense, he's going against one of the best defenses in the league. So this is going to be very difficult for him to find open shots. That's why Carlisle would like to get out in transition a little bit.
Yes, the Pacers needing better ball movement at times. They were standing around outside and watching as Jermaine O'Neal looked to make a move. Tinsley was successful in the second half, breaking it down. Tinsley's shot rolls out, but played by Davis, blows the layup. And here come the Pistons. Ben Wallace posting. And Jermaine O'Neal. O'Neal got a piece of it.
Here's where Reggie may find a shot in transition. Rip Hamilton does a nice job getting back.
However, Steven Jackson was able to drill the 3.
Jackson has been their leading scorer in these playoffs, and he's a guy who especially enjoys playing on the road. I think he loves these environments. He's looking for a big game tonight.
Prince with room. Tayshaun Prince still bothered by that sprained ankle. The other night, just 4 of 11 from the field. Larry Brown calling it very gutsy that Prince was able to hang in game 5 against Philly despite the ankle problem. There was a question as to whether he would start the game. Miller with the step. Nice move by Reggie Miller.
He talked the other day about being more aggressive against Hamilton. You saw the aggressiveness there. And Detroit, that's a very rare possession where they don't bring weak side help.
Phillips spotting Prince. Prince had to save it. Chauncey Billups already has 4 assists. And 7 the other night. Billups forced it and a foul.
I was so impressed with the play of Billups in game 1, Marv. He's always been a scoring point guard, but he's adapted his game according to what Larry Brown wants. And the other night spent most of the evening setting up his teammates. He had 7 assists, only took 6 shots. I mean, a couple of years ago, that would have been unbelievable for a night to go by where Billups didn't get up 12 or 13 shots at least, but he's really toned his game down and played extremely well for this club.
And he's a guy who does hit big shots. Most valuable player of last year's NBA Finals. He was the number 3 pick overall in the '97 draft, taken by Boston midway through the season. He dealt in Toronto and then on to Denver, Orlando, Minnesota, Detroit. So it's a guy who's made the rounds and has settled in here with the Pistons. His 3rd year with Detroit. Tinsley is wide open. Tinsley on the rebound. Tinsley had it knocked away. Last touch by the Pistons.
Oh, you talked about Billups bouncing around. How about Rip Hamilton coming over from Washington? Rasheed Wallace obviously wore out his welcome in Portland. Ben Wallace from Orlando and the Wizards, or the Bullets at the time. So they have a team full of guys who were really cast off in a lot of ways by several teams, but they come together to form a wonderful team. 4.5 gone by. plays now early to get him the ball down on the block.
Delay of game warning on Pacers. The ball was knocked aside. Pistons were pleading for a flagrant foul call as St. John Prince, point number 8. He's 3 of 4 from the field.
Well, here's the play. Reggie's going to try to front Tayshaun Prince. Play in front of him and hope for weak side help. Pistons are so quick, though, that it's very difficult to cover up on everybody. Reggie's going to have his hands full with Tayshaun down on the block.
Phillips putting some pressure on Johnson. 6 unanswered points for the Pistons. Jackson tied up and turns it over off the ball pressure.
Amazing. I don't know if you can really get the sense of the deep speed of Detroit watching on TV. When you see them up close, it's just stunning how quick all 5 guys are.
Prince for 3. Lost the start of the come out, but did not get the hand up.
11 points already here early after scoring just 9 the other night.
The three-pointer Jackson carried over the glass. The ball back to the Pistons.
So it looks like Indiana went to a little zone here, and you'll see Prince pop out. Foster not accustomed to covering people at the three-point line, and Prince, who's already got his confidence going, calmly knocks down the tray.
Now Prince from the other side. Jackson backing his way on Hamilton, a foul on Hamilton. And that is the 15th foul on the Pistons. Substitution, Antonio McKnight will check in for Rasheed Wallace and Fred Jones for Reggie Miller. Fred Jones has been battling a broken knuckle on the shooting hand, plus a sprained ankle. Did not shoot well in the Celtics series until Game 7 last Saturday night in Boston, and again did not shoot well this past Monday. Here's Jackson firing a rainbow, rebounded by McKnight.
Well, when you're in a shooting slump, as Fred Jones might be in, it's tough to come and have to play against Detroit because you almost get no open look. Everything is contested.
Good play by Jackson as Prince was running along the baseline, and Jackson got a piece of it, able to break it up. And now Larry Brown takes a timeout. 3:24 to go in this opening quarter. And Tayshaun Prince, quiet in game 1, exploiting the matchup here tonight. 4 of 6, 11 points, as this Piston team has looked very sharp in the early going.
Well, you knew he'd be fired up tonight after just going 4 for 11 in game 1. So he was going to come out and be aggressive anyway. Then he's got the size advantage over Reggie early on, so they post him up. Detroit just did a nice job of getting him involved early.
Shot clock down to 4. Hamilton. Box out by Foster. O'Neal, Foster, Jackson up front. Johnson and Fred Jones in the backcourt. Here's Jermaine O'Neal. 6 points for O'Neal. 24-13 Detroit.
Finally an open look for the Pacers coming off that high screen and roll between Johnson and O'Neal, but Indiana just 6 for 18 from the field mark, struggling to find any openings out here.
Hamilton got it down low to Ben Wallace. Shot clock to 5. Down to 3. Phillips off the dribble. Oh, beautiful penetration by Chauncey Phillips.
It's incredible how strong he is. And you got to love the transformation of his game because he's a passer, but he can also do that. Clock winds down. He's so strong and quick. He can find his way to the rim and get a good shot.
And that had his first shot attempt. He's been an assist man once again in the early going. He has 5. O'Neal goes glass. 26-15 Pistons. The Detroit Pistons 54-28 in the regular season. They finish as the number 2 seed behind Miami in the opening round of the playoffs. They beat the Sixers in 5. Had 5 days of rest. Opened up very impressively the other night. Hamilton, once again, Pistons able to penetrate.
Well, that's that curl move that Rip is famous for. It's the one Reggie really made popular and that Rip emulated for all those years. But he comes off that curl screen and finds his way into a seam.
O'Neal called for the charge. Offensive foul. Hamilton shaken up, but he's all right.
And there's that team speed I talked about, Marv. You think you have an opening against this club. You find your way into the lane. All of a sudden, one of those quick guys is sliding in front of you, taking a charge. Here's what I'm talking about. Looks like O'Neal's wide open. And then here comes Wallace, slides over, takes the charge. And you see the opening, and then it's like a quick defensive team in the NFL. You think you see a lane, and then boom, the hole just shuts, and the running back gets stuffed for a 5-yard loss. Kind of the same type thing here.
Lindsey Hunter has come on for the first time, replacing Chauncey Billups, with Hamilton putting moves on Jones. He is so smooth. 8 points for Hamilton. Pistons have their biggest lead. Pacers cannot get a stop.
Boy, Rip is stronger than he looks, too. I mean, he really held his ground against the bigger Jones, hung in the air, and still was able to knock down that shot.
Brett Jones with a one-on-one move. Foster is there. And a loose ball foul against the Pistons.
Take a look at Rip Hamilton in the post. He tries to use his speed to get around Jones, who does a nice job and stays in front of him, and Rip just hangs in the air and uses his strength to hold Jones off and knock down the little fadeaway.
Foul on Hunter. Both teams have 4 team fouls. Austin Crozier came on for Jermaine O'Neal in a battle down low. Johnson passed on the 3. Nice pass. Foster can't hit. Foster again. Crozier had a hand on it. Here comes Hamilton. Intended for Wallace. He threw it into a crowd. Johnson pulls up for 3. Anthony Johnson from downtown. And back comes Detroit. McDyess tried to break, but Indiana got back. And we're down at 20 seconds left in the quarter. And they can hold for a last shot. There's about a 10th of a second differential.
Mark, that was Detroit's first turnover of this entire quarter, and they've been so sharp here. We'll see if they can close out the quarter strongly.
Here's Hunter. Yeah. That's the 3 for Lindsey Hunter. Final seconds, Brett Jones. And that will do it for the first quarter. What a performance by the Pistons. Coming off the that's a painting.
It's beautiful. It's stunning is what it is.
That's
Mark.
the Detroit River. As we welcome you back. Game 2 of this best of 7. And Detroit off to the fast start. 33-18 Pistons. As we head to the second quarter. Crowd that includes Ruth Riley of the Detroit Shock, the 2003 WNBA Most Valuable Player out of Notre Dame. And there's Cheryl Ford, Carmelone's daughter, also a member of the Shock. Shock won the championship 2 seasons back, WNBA season, starting on May the 21st.
And we showed the street sign outside of the Palace. It's 4 championship drive, in case you're wondering. 3 Piston titles, 1 Shock title. I bet you didn't know that.
Little symmetry, Steve, weaving it all together.
Tying it all together.
Pass intended for Jackson, and Detroit gets it back.
Well, when we talked to Rick Carlisle today, Marv, he said, look, we've got to get turnovers, we've got to get offensive rebounds, we've got to make stops, and that'll lead to some transition hoops. Well, Detroit is shooting 63%. They got 1 turnover, and Indiana has 3 fast break points, so nothing has gone Indiana's way.
Brett Jones able to recover off the steal. Anthony Johnson. Good play by Crozier. Nice hustle. Jackson passing on the 3 from straight away. You see Prince move right up on him. And the foul on on Hunter. Anthony Johnson is hurt. You can see Lindsey Hunter feeling bad about it. It went right to Johnson, who has been injury hit. He's been bothered by sore neck, sore back. Oh, man.
Well, Lindsey's got maybe the quickest pair of hands in the league defensively. So you know you've got to be careful with the ball. Unfortunately, he doesn't get the ball there. He gets his eyeball. And Anthony Johnson trying to shake it off. Hunter making sure he's okay.
Accidentally by Lindsey Hunter. You can see the expression on Hunter's face. Johnson sits down, and Jamal Tinsley checks back in. So Tinsley and Jones at the guards, Foster, O'Neal, and Jackson up front. Here's Tinsley. And he's able to recover. Jackson has to back it up. Looking for a screen. Now O'Neal comes over. Boy, that did not work.
Whoa. Their half-court offense has looked atrocious. Part of it is just how good Detroit's defense is. But, you know, I'm struck by something Kenny Smith said in the studio the other night. He said, you know, if Indiana's going to try to push the ball, well, that's out of character. And he's exactly right. Pacers were 30th in the NBA in fast break points. So the strategy sounds good. You know, force some turnovers, get out in the break. But Indiana's really a half-court team, a team that wins with defense. And they're not going to beat the Pistons by running.
James Jones has come on for Steven Jackson. Shot clock to 3. McDyess. Pacers just 8 of 28 from the field. O'Neal played by McDyess. Here's James Jones. This is Fred Jones for 3. Fred Jones just 0 for 6 from the field the other night after that outstanding performance in Boston in Game 7.
And missed his first 2 here tonight, although one was a half-court attempt at the end of the quarter. So good for him to knock one down, get a little confidence here.
Good job by Fred Jones on Prince. Then Prince was able to beat him along the baseline. And now Jones comes up with it. Tinsley backing Hunter. O'Neal met by McDyess. Now Tinsley with the step, but Wallace is there. Tinsley able to hit over Wallace.
Well, that's his game. Penetration, getting into the lane, finishing, or finding somebody on the perimeter. He was very successful with that in the latter stages of Game 1. Unfortunately, the game was already out of hand.
Rare to see consecutive buckets by the Pacers. The way this has been going now. Hamilton right back. 10 points for Hamilton.
That's a tough matchup for James Jones, who's trying to chase Hamilton. Rip has the quickness advantage, and he's so used to working people off those screens. Jones very inexperienced.
O'Neal. McDyess with the rebound. Here's Hunter going all the way. The tip missed. Rebound. O'Neal. It's a 2-on-1. McDyess back. Tinsley goes right at him. And is fouled. A hard foul as Tinsley was sent flying. He'll head to the line. Foul committed by McDyess.
Well, again, this is what Carlisle wanted. Get some stops, get out in transition, get some easy hoops. Maybe they can get back into the game if they can do that a few more times.
Because it was a very meaningful 2 years for me. It was a great opportunity. The players were terrific. You know, Joe Dumars gave me my first shot, so I'll always be thankful to him. And, you know, I still am close with a lot of the guys, speak with some of them on a regular basis. And on the other hand, it's a little weird, you know, because now you're competing against them. But the success that they've had, you know, since I've been gone, I'm very pleased for them because they're all hardworking people and great guys. And, you know, they've established a standard now, you know, in our division, and we're chasing them.
And Rick Carlisle finished second in the voting to Mike D'Antoni of the Phoenix Suns as Coach of the Year. Did an amazing job when you consider the suspensions and the injuries, lineup changes, 31 different starting lineups back in early February. Pacers were 20 and 24. They were next to last In their division, Rick shuffling, plugging holes. Played one game, I recall, with, 6 healthy players?
I think they set a record, Mark, for most players on a roster who actually started a game. I believe it was 17. Imagine that, 31 different lineups. Incredible job that he's done. Well-deserved to be that high in the voting for Coach of the Year.
McDice forcing with the shot clock. Running down, was able to go glass, although that was not his intention. He thought he was fouled. Detroit 37, Indiana 25. And the Detroit Pistons 14 of 25 from the field. Here is Jermaine O'Neal. 10 points for O'Neal.
That's become their offense now, Mark. Screen and roll with O'Neal and the point guard, either Johnson or Tinsley. They've managed to free him up for a few open jump shots.
Pistons now have 12 assists on their 14 field goals. One of the three who just checked in had his shot blocked. James Jones got a piece of it. Rasheed Wallace checked back in for the Pistons along with Dupree. Tinsley trying to find the opening. He does. Oh, what a move by Jamal Tinsley.
Crafty.
And that might have been a delay of game. And if it is, it's a second violation, and that's a technical foul. The ball was knocked aside, not allowing the Pistons to put it in play. In the first quarter, there was a delay of game, which is the warning. When you hit with a second, it's a technical foul.
Yeah, once that ball goes through the net, the team that's going back defensively cannot touch it. The refs made a good call. Let's take a look. You'll see the beautiful, crafty maneuver getting into the lane, and then he does that. See, now McDice, if he's trying to get the ball out for a fast break, is going to throw a long outlet. So Tinsley, in effect, is trying to slow down the break. Can't do that.
Pistons 38, Pacers 29. Phillips and Dupree now at the guard. Hamilton also there. It's a 3-guard set. Here's Hamilton. Good job by McDice tipping it to Dupree. Hamilton comes off the screen. Fake by McDice. And handled by Tinsley. Tinsley going one-on-one. He beat Phillips and then tipped home by Davis.
Tinsley is finding his way to the rim all of a sudden. Very rarely can you get this kind of penetration on Detroit. Larry Brown not happy, I think, with his defensive help.
Dice firing a wild pass, but last touch by O'Neal. Well, the Pistons have led all the way. They've led by as many as 15 points. But the Pacers have outscored the Pistons 13-5 in this second quarter to move within 7.
Well, they've done it with that screen and roll with O'Neal and the penetration of Tinsley. We'll see if they can get anybody else going offensively.
Phillips not able to hit from downtown.
Boy, Reggie's been on the bench an awfully long time, hasn't he, Mark?
Reggie was trying to do it off the drive in that first quarter. He missed one from the perimeter. McDice doing a good job off the boards. Hamilton being played by Fred Jones. He got picked off. Pick and roll broken up by Jones. Nice play by Fred Jones. Here comes Tinsley. And then pulls it back. He's being guarded by Dupree, second-year man from LSU. Wild cross-court pass. Now here's James Jones. And the long rebound fielded by Tinsley. It took a shot in the net. And the foul called on Hamilton. Hamilton shaken up as he hit the deck, picked up his second foul, and a timeout is called. So the Pacers are within 7. Now look at downtown Detroit. Of the NBA playoffs continues. In fact, later tonight right here on TNT, Game 2 of the Mavericks and the Suns in their Western Conference semifinals. Phoenix winning Game 1 by 25 as they hit 12 of 22 from three-point range. That's coming up following the Pacers and the Pistons. Tomorrow on ESPN, Game 3 between the Heat and Wizards, followed by Game 3 of the Spurs and the Sonics. Coverage starting 8 o'clock Eastern Time. Let's check in with Craig Sager.
Well, Steve mentioned that we haven't seen much of Reggie Miller so far in this first half of just 8 minutes. Haven't seen a whole lot of Steven Jackson either. Rick Carlisle taking a no-nonsense approach to this game. He wants his players to do the same. If you remember, Stephen Jackson had that bad pass, the bad turnover when he threw the ball away to Jermaine O'Neal, a second turnover. He came out of the game. He had a little short exchange with Rick Carlisle and said, well, what am I supposed to do? Well, Rick Carlisle knew what he was going to do. He's going to sit him on the bench for a while and think about it.
Well, all right, Craig. Stephen Jackson, 2 of 3 from the field. Played 13 minutes. Offensive foul. And Fred Jones and Tayshaun Prince took a shot to the head.
Well, Jones is going to get the ball with that inside pivot, just swing the ball through, and his elbow catches Prince. That is painful, obviously inadvertent, and Prince shaken up.
And now Stephen Jackson checks back in, replacing Fred Jones. Stephen Jackson had the huge Game 7 against the Celtics Saturday night, bouncing back from the 6th game of the series. And Dice able to hit it, and Jody McDice continues his top flight play coming off the bench. He did it all season long. Had a productive season, averaged 9 points, 6 rebounds, and has been healthy all year. Nice play by Rasheed Wallace on the box out of Dale Davis. Phillips tried to get it down low, and a foul on O'Neal, who shoved McDice.
Well, Detroit's bench is not nearly as good as it was a year ago, Mark, but the addition of McDice has given them interchangeable parts along that front line. When they put Ben Wallace or Rasheed Wallace on the bench and bring in McDice, they lose virtually nothing in terms of length and quickness and defensive ability. So he's been a huge addition to this team. You look at the numbers. A year ago, they were better, 26 points a game, but it was more the defense, I felt. Mike James, Lindsey Hunter would come in. People couldn't even get the ball across half court. This Detroit bench not nearly as effective defensively.
Rasheed Wallace. Detroit up by 11. Reggie Miller has checked back in. Miller and Tinsley in the backcourt. O'Neal. Rebounded by McDice. Prince. Dupree. Waddle Dupree, who began his professional career in the Development League, then signed with the Bulls last year, appeared in 47 games, been getting some minutes off the bench for the Pistons out of LSU. A 6-0 run for Detroit, capped off by the stuff by Dupree, leading to the Pacer timeout. Nice setup from Tayshaun Prince. He has been a very, let's say, superstitious individual. His most unusual custom always takes place about 8 minutes before the opening tip to walk over to Pacers Media Relations Director David Benner, and he'll listen as Benner berates him with good-natured taunts, trash talk, and then Reggie goes back at David. He gets in Benner's face, ripping him on a variety of subjects, Steve, of a personal nature. I'm told the only topics that are off limits are Benner's wife and their dog. And fans sometimes think they're actually fighting. All this started back in Market Square Arena before the days of Conseco Fieldhouse. Apparently, David said something to Reggie in animated fashion, and Reggie had a good game, and it has continued from there on.
For years and years. Can you imagine the creativity they have to come up with for every single game?
I'm told that David Benner prepares for hours.
Yeah, for hours at a time. That's one of about 30 superstitions for Reggie.
Here's Jackson working his way. And a foul is called. Foul on Dupree. We saw the bizarre pregame superstition that Reggie goes through with Pacers Media Relations Director David Benner. Well, Steve and I, it should be pointed out, have a similar pregame custom that prepares us for the telecast. You know, Steve, I feel so much better in getting out all that angst.
Yeah, me too. It prepares me for the telecast, Mark.
And so much for the hijinks portion.
Well, the difference is that they were kidding. You know.
Oh, see, that's terrible.
Why?
All right, Stephen Jackson at the line right here. Let's see what's coming to TNT.
Executive producer Steven Spielberg and DreamWorks Television present a 6-week television event, Into the West, starting June 10th only on TNT.
All right, Jackson hits 1 of 2 at the line. It's a 12-point Piston lead. They've led by as many as 15. Tony McDyess, who's played well, getting a long run off the bench. McDyess is pushed by Davis. That's 3 on Dale Davis. Let's check in with Craig.
Well, Marv, I wasn't privy to your conversation with Steve Kerr, but I do know what Benner told Reggie Miller. He said, listen, I want to see the Reggie Miller of old, not the old Reggie Miller I've been seeing lately. Do you have any idea what they're saying about you in Detroit? They say that you should have retired 16 years ago, and this is your last game in the Palace. To which, of course, Reggie had several responses. Marv?
That's harsh.
It's harsh. I wonder what Reggie said back to him, though. Maybe Sage, maybe you can get on that one, too.
He said, I didn't like your media guide last year.
Yeah.
And Lindsey Hunter comes up short. It is a shot clock violation. So the ball back to the Pacers. 3.5 remaining in this first half. Marv Albert, Steve Kerr, Craig Sager were at the Palace of Auburn Hills. Game 2 of this best-of-7 Eastern Conference semifinal series. Gorgeous pass thrown by Tinsley to Foster.
Boy, he is so crafty with that ball, and Foster, very quick around the basket. He'll make himself available. Had trouble finishing some of those shots early in the game. It's like he settled down a little bit on that one.
That's assist number 5 for Jamal Tinsley. Rasheed Wallace for 3. Tinsley on the rebound. Here's Tinsley taking to the hoop, and Jamal Tinsley has led this Pacer team back. It's an 8-point Detroit lead.
Well, they're finally making stops here in the second quarter, Marvin. When you make a defensive stand, you're going to have the automatic offensive advantage at the other end, and Tinsley's the perfect guy to have with the ball in his hands because he can create either for himself, as he does here, just dribbling right by Hunter and getting up and over Phillips, or he can swing it out to the perimeter for an open look for a teammate. And this is what he's done tonight also. You see the beautiful feed on that screen and roll to Foster. So Tinsley and Jermaine O'Neal have been the main cogs in this Indiana offense tonight. They've struggled, but they've hung in the game, Mark. Down just 8 after that brilliant first quarter from Detroit.
Jamal Tinsley has come back strong from that bruised left foot injury. At one point, he missed 40 of 43 games. Made his return in game number 5 of the opening round series against the Celtics. Phillips, nice turnaround. Able to back Tinsley. Hit the jumper.
I like that. Tinsley's kind of gotten control of this game, so make him play defense at the other end. Phillips, so strong in the post.
Detroit back up by 10. Here's Miller on a step back, and he fires. Yes! Reggie Miller. That's a 2-pointer. And that's his first perimeter bucket of the night.
And Carlisle obviously trying to get Miller going. That's about the 4th isolation play we've seen tonight with Reggie.
What I call it a deft touch by Phillips.
Extremely deft. I mean, fade away from about 17 feet. Just so strong, the ability to absorb contact and still make the perimeter shot.
Hunter right up on Miller. Reggie able to shoot over him. Handled by Prince. Once again, it's Phillips, defended by Tinsley. Nice pass, but Wallace could not put it down. Wallace tried to reverse. Wallace remaining down court, lost his shoe. So they're 5-on-4. Tinsley takes the outside shot, but O'Neal is there. Could not tee it up, and then it's rejected. Then Wallace back into the action. There's Hunter going at Jackson.
Unbelievable sequence of events. Indiana had a 5-on-4. They couldn't get anything. Wallace takes his time, gets his shoe on, comes back, he gets the rebound. Pistons with a fast break.
Pacers had the power play going.
They did.
Could not take advantage. Loose ball foul. The outside official, Mike Callahan, says stay right here. The foul called on Rasheed Wallace. That's his first. 56 seconds remaining in this first half. 12-point Detroit lead. Let's check in with Ernie Johnson back in our Atlanta studio.
All right, thank you, Marv. Coming up at halftime, Magic's here, so is Kenny, so is Charles. You'll hear their take on the first half of this game, and we'll look ahead to Game 2 between the Mavs and the Phoenix Suns, and you will hear from Avery Johnson. And by the way, Fratello called and says, you guys stop bickering before the game.
You know, he leaves me messages as a media critic. I get 3 or 4 a night. Not talking about Ernie, I'm talking about the Czar.
Oh, the Czar. I thought you were talking about Ernie.
No.
Well, the Czar would leave me messages last year when we were working together. I mean, that's what he does. He likes to critique. He is a coach by nature. Don't forget. And by profession these days.
Well, Jeff Foster missing on both. He's only a 63% free throw shooter. Phillips lost it. 3-on-2 developing. Tinsley, get that thing right. Well, try to do it all by himself. There's Hunter for 3. There's a 4-second differential between the game clock and the shot clock as this first half winds down. Jackson had it knocked away, nearly lost it. Phillips all over. Shot clock down to 6. Tinsley. Foster with the tip. Beautiful tip by Foster. Final seconds of the half. Comes Phillips from way downtown. Rick Carlisle has to feel pretty good that Indiana's down by only 10.
Yeah, better second quarter. They did get out in transition a little bit by forcing Detroit into some misses, and I thought Tinsley did a nice job getting into the lane.
Jamal Tinsley with 8 points, 5 assists, 5 rebounds. Jermaine O'Neal, the high man for Indiana, with 10. Tayshaun Prince got off to the quick start. 4 of 8, 11 points. Rip Hamilton has 10. Let's go to Craig and Tayshaun Prince.
Well, Tayshaun, obviously a very good start by you. 11 points in that first quarter. Also 5 assists, 4 rebounds. How did you change your game tonight?
You know what? I struggled offensively as far as shooting the ball. So, and I only had 2 rebounds in 38 minutes. So I got to get to the board. Jeff Foster, Jamel Neal, great offensive rebound team. They killed us in the first half. So I got to get to the glass, and I also got to share the ball when I get a double team.
You're trying to change the tempo there in the second quarter, trying to move the ball a little bit more. Tinsley driving the lane. What adjustments do you have to make?
Yes, they did, and we can't let them play like that. We played into their hands that second quarter. They got it under 10 when we had a 15-point lead, I believe, at the end of the first. So we got to come out and be more aggressive. We know we can't get this team any chances because we know what they can do.
I think about that 15-point lead now down to 10 at intermission. Now let's go to Ernie Johnson.
Welcome back to the Palace of Auburn Hills as we get ready for the second half. Detroit up by 10. Marv Albert, Steve Kerr, and Craig Sager. And Steve, the Pistons have led by as many as 15 points. Indiana coming back in the second quarter as they were sparked by the all-around play of Jamal Tinsley.
Well, remember what Larry Brown told us before the game? He said he wanted to avoid the easy baskets for Indiana, make them grind it out in the half court, and that's what they did in the first quarter. Second quarter, Tinsley got into the lane. They got some easy ones. The game opened up a little bit. I think that's how Indiana got back in the ballgame.
Let's take a look at the Jeep game summary. Pistons shooting 50% on 20 out of 40 from the field, hit 4 from downtown. Indiana just 17 of 50, 34% from the field. You see the assist, 14 for Detroit. Chauncey Billups with 6. Tayshaun Prince with 5. Jamal Tinsley with 5 of those 9 Indiana assists. Let's go over to Craig Sager. Craig?
Well, Rick Carlisle was rather encouraged. He said despite only shooting 34%, we are getting good shots. Our turnovers are down. As far as wearing Reggie Miller down defensively, with regards Rip Hamilton as he did in game 1, or Tayshaun Prince as he did the first half, they're going to give him some help. And don't be surprised if you see Indiana go to a zone on defense.
All right, Craig Miller not able to hit from downtown. Rebounded by Rasheed Wallace. Ben Wallace with Rasheed and Tayshaun Prince on the front line. Good play by Dale Davis. And Tinsley moves it across. Jackson and Tinsley with Reggie Miller, Dale Davis, and Jermaine O'Neal on the floor for the Pacers.
Pacers ran a beautiful set for Miller coming out to start the third quarter. Here's another one. He's not able to get either shot to go.
Well, as Magic Johnson pointed out at halftime, he feels that the 7-game series against the Celtics has provided some wear and tear on Reggie. Doesn't seem to have the legs. And as we mentioned at the start, hasn't had a solid ball game in terms of scoring since back in Game 3 of the Celtics series. Davis able to recover. And apparently there's a problem with the clock. Mike Callahan walking over to the official scorer.
Well, the question was whether Rasheed Wallace had possession of the ball on that near steal. I didn't think he did. If he did not have possession, it should have been an 8-second violation. You'll see him poke the ball away right here. Does he have possession? No. So that should have been an 8-second violation, but Indiana gets off the hook.
So they reset it. O'Neal going at Ben Wallace. There's Steven Jackson eluding Rip Hamilton and hitting.
Beautiful show of the ball by Jackson, and puts it down on the floor. One dribble and knocks down the shot. That's what Indiana's got to do a lot of. Detroit's so good at closing out on shooters and challenging people.
The Piston lead is down to 8. And away from the ball, an offensive foul charged to Rasheed Wallace, making contact with his good friend by way of their days in Portland, Jermaine O'Neal, who hit the floor hard. And a delay of game warning against the Pistons.
Rasheed's got two good friends on this Pacer team. One of them right here, Jermaine O'Neal, and you see the bump from Rasheed. The other, Dale Davis, of course, teammates in Portland with both of them. Davis and O'Neal were traded for each other.
O'Neal able to recover. Jermaine O'Neal, similar to what took place in Game 1 here on Monday night, got off to a fast start and then cooled off. Only 1 of 7 in the second quarter here tonight, but hits that bucket to cut it to a 6-point Piston lead. This is the closest the Pacers have been since the early moments. And Wallace is fouled. Ben Wallace has been quiet, coming off a magnificent game number 1. Davis called for the foul. That's number 4. Ben Wallace thus far tonight 0 for 3 from the field, just 2 points. Does have 6 rebounds and is 2 of 2 at the line.
Well, the question right now is whether he's going to shoot free throws. I thought he clearly passed the ball at the last second, and we'll take a look. But you're right, Marv. He has not had a good first half. Take a look. No, that's a pass. So ball should be out on the side, but the officials called otherwise. He'll take 2 free throws. Might not be the worst thing in the world if you're Indiana, given his struggles.
Rick Carlisle in a debate regarding that play. He's talking it over with Sean Corbin, but as you say, Steve, it's a better situation for the Pacers.
Assuming they get the rebound here if he misses, and of course assuming he misses. And they don't get the rebound.
So it's a wash.
It's a wash. Or it's a three-pointer.
Wallace with the rebound and a foul. Ben wanted to put it down after the whistle. That's the kind of night it's been for him to this point. Foul is called on Foster, who came on for Davis.
Well, as Larry Brown told us before the game, Wallace is not a guy you're going to throw the ball to in the post and say, go ahead and score. He's a guy who gets his points by running the floor, by just finding offensive rebounds and putbacks. Indiana obviously paying much more attention to him here tonight.
Tayshaun Prince stops the drought. Pistons had gone scoreless for 3.5 minutes.
And for the first time tonight, you can sense that Indiana has a little confidence to their game. We'll see if they can hang on to that here, down just 8.
Tinsley using the pick, not able to hit from downtown. Here's Phillips. not able to handle the pass. Tinsley got it back. Jermaine O'Neal, able to stuff in the face of Tayshaun Prince.
And then a little wink and a point and a smile at Prince. And interesting to see O'Neal continuing to finish with that left hand. Of course, that right shoulder has been a problem for a couple of months now, and he's really developed that left hand and been comfortable using it.
And it's put down by Rasheed Wallace. Pistons 54, the Pacers 46. 9 points for Wallace. 3.5 gone by in the third quarter. O'Neal from Foster.
What a feed from Jeff Foster. And another lefty finish from O'Neal. That's what Indiana has to do. Continue to penetrate on that screen and roll, not pull up from three as Tinsley did before.
Phillips not able to hit from downtown. They try to trap Tinsley and succeed. Tinsley throwing it off the leg of Phillips.
Well, we saw the offensive rebounding totals at halftime slanted heavily in Indiana's favor. So Rasheed Wallace trying to do something about it there. And then look at the pass from Foster. Beautiful recognition.
Foster with the nice lead again. Reggie Miller beats Rip Hamilton off a screen, and the Pacers are within 4. Larry Brown wants to talk it over.
Indiana is finally getting something in their half-court offense, and as usual, it's Reggie Miller doing what he does best, moving without the ball. Little back screen, the cut, the feed from Foster.
And Jermaine O'Neal were teammates in Portland for 4 years. O'Neal, fresh out of high school, did not get much playing time as a member of the Blazers. Wallace, one of the standouts for Portland. They had reached playoffs every year that he played there, including coming within a game of the NBA Finals in 2000. And they are very close friends, practicing together on many an occasion while they were both in the Pacific Northwest.
And of course, O'Neal was then traded for Dale Davis in a move that Portland made really to try to get another body to throw against Shaq. Of course, the Lakers were their big rivals, and Portland was trying to make the finals at the time, and obviously a move that Portland probably regrets.
Shot clock at 5. Phillips. Tinsley going for the steal. Got a piece of Phillips. That's the first on Tinsley. Indiana with a 10-4 edge in this third quarter. 6 of those 10 points scored by Jermaine O'Neal, and the Pacers with 5 assists on their 5 field goals in the quarter, which is a positive sign.
The first time in about a game and a half that we've seen positive half-court execution from Indiana. I know the guys in the studio talked about it at halftime. They've been really stagnant, a lot of isolation plays, but we saw a few back picks, that screen and roll with the big-to-big pass between Foster and O'Neal, so they're finally getting a little offensive rhythm.
Indiana with the ball down by 5. Miller had it knocked aside. He thought he was fouled. Here's Hamilton putting the speed on. Prince with the tip. And O'Neal able to collar the rebound. 5 minutes gone by in this third quarter. Marv Albert, Steve Kerr, Craig Sager. It's game 2 of this best-of-7 Eastern Conference semifinal series. Prince met by Jackson. Hamilton played by Miller. Hamilton got the step, rejected. Jermaine O'Neal comes up hobbling. That's his third block shot. Tinsley and a foul. Jamal Tinsley will go to the line, and Jermaine trying to walk it off.
Take a look at the block by Jermaine O'Neal. Mark, you mentioned that he came up hobbling. First of all, terrific block with that left hand, and then he falls back into that stanchion. Maybe hits his back a little bit. looks like he's going to be fine. And at the other end, I think Tinsley has to do more of this. You know, Marvin, he's not a three-point shooter. He shot 37% during the season. He's kind of developed himself into one. But during the playoffs, he's 0 of 11. Remember, he's had this long layoff. And he's a guy who's not a natural shooter. He's a natural ball handler. I think he's got to continue to probe in the lane and attack this Piston defense, not settle for long threes.
Hamilton, that's an off-balance shot. Rebounded by O'Neal. And again, here comes Tinsley. They try to trap him. Met by Prince on a switch. Tinsley, too much one-on-one on that sequence, but last touch by the Pistons. 13 on the shot clock for Indiana. They're within 3. They've trailed all the way. They've been down by as many as 15. Try to tie the series at 1 as it heads back to Indianapolis for game number 3 on Friday night. O'Neal around Wallace and is fouled.
I talked to Mike Brown, the Pacer assistant coach, before this series started, and he said, what we've got to do is make the extra pass and then penetrate. Because these guys are so quick, you know they're going to rotate, and they're going to rotate again. But if we can penetrate on the second rotation, we can get to the rim, and that way the big guys aren't going to be waiting for us. That's what you saw that play with O'Neal.
Nate O'Neal, a 75% free throw shooter. It is down to a 2-point Piston lead. Well, to get a complete all-access look at the NBA playoffs, tune in tomorrow night, 7 o'clock Eastern Time, for NBA TV Insiders with special guest Eric Snow of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Go Raptors. Just under 6 minutes remaining in this third quarter. It's a 1-point Detroit lead. And Wallace had it knocked away by Jeff Foster. Foster on the steal and then called for a traveling violation.
Oh, I don't know about that one. Foster made the steal and then it was knocked away by a Piston player. I think that's a tough call for Indiana. Let's take a look. Here's the slap. He gets his hand on it here, and then Wallace knocks it away. That should not be a travel.
And it's a big break for the Pistons with Chauncey Billups knocking down a 3.
Tough blow for Indiana. They should be down at this end with a chance to take the lead right now.
Jackson from downtown. Yes. Steven Jackson with a rainbow 3 to cut it back to a 1-point Detroit lead.
Indiana talked before this game about taking things to Detroit, being the aggressor. We're finally seeing that here in the third quarter. You can feel it. They've got a little swagger to their game right now.
Prince, nice spinning move around Jackson. Pistons 60. The Pacers 57.
Well, if Detroit has a weakness, Marv, it's that they'll go through stretches where they can't score. They don't have a go-to guy. They've got a lot of guys who are capable of scoring, but not one guy who's going to take over. We'll see how they respond here now that the game is close.
There's Miller with a runner. Reggie Miller. 8 points for Reggie. He's 4 of 9 from the field and showing some signs.
I'm impressed with the adjustment he has made here with his game personally. He's put the ball on the floor and been much more aggressive off the drive here tonight.
O'Neal on the rebound. Tinsley finds Miller for 3. Yes. Reggie Miller heating up. As you mentioned, he's done it by putting it on the floor. He's done it with short-range shots and then hits the 3. Indiana with the lead for the first time tonight.
And that's what Carlisle told us. If they can make some stops, they can find Reggie in transition.
Phillips turned back by O'Neal. He thought he was fouled. Here's Miller. Passed on a 3. Goes for the 2. Too strong, but nice back tap by Foster. Comes back to Miller. They swing it. Jackson for 3. Again, it's Foster on the rebound. Jackson going at Hamilton. Finds Miller open for 3. And it's deflected and saved by Prince. Back comes Phillips. Phillips with a nice pass and Hamilton lays it in. Wow.
What a sequence. Well, Rick Carlisle's going to call a timeout. His team had several opportunities to score at the other end. Couldn't get the ball to go down.
3:20 to go in the third quarter. The Pistons and the Pacers now tied at 62. Reggie Miller with the short pop. And here is Reggie from beyond the three-point line. Back at the Palace of Auburn Hills, and tonight's Steve Wonders brought to you by Bud Light.
Thank you, Laura. You know, we were watching Reggie Miller heat up here a little bit in the third quarter, and of course we've seen him forever knock down these huge clutch free throws and perimeter shots. I was wondering, how long has he been doing this? When was his first playoff game? He made his playoff debut way back in 1990.
Oh, look at that footage with you now.
Look at the hairdo. Nice. Averaged almost 21 points a game against Detroit. Shot 57% from the floor. You see the shot over Dumars, and then look at that. Reggie with the hops in his younger days. Nice exchange with Isaiah Thomas. The Pacers lost that series 3-0. And this is currently his 28th career playoff series. Today marks his 140th playoff game. What a career for Reggie Miller.
And Reggie's presence in evidence here in this third quarter. Antonio McDyess, who just came on. Larry Brown looking for a lift, and McDyess getting his hand on that pass to knock it away. McDyess played well in the first half.
But any time Detroit gets into trouble, Larry wants them to get back to their strength. Half-court defense, and then get the ball inside at the other end. And O'Neal can't get the jumper to go.
Oh, that hit Prince in the head with that pass, but Phillips is there. Phillips with a beautiful hesitation move. And a foul is called. It is on Jackson, his first.
I think one of the things Larry Brown told his team in the huddle, Marv, is they got to start getting the ball inside. Remember, they got very happy after they made their first 4 3-pointers, and they're 1 of 8 since. So I think they've gotten a little happy beyond that 3-point line, and this is a team that really thrives on playing inside out. So I'd look for penetration from Billups or post-ups for McDyess.
Oh, good play by Foster. Got a piece of that shot attempt. McDyess tried to save it. Stepped out. So the ball back to the Pacers.
No, you see the penetration from Billups, and McDyess trying to hustle and just steps on that line. Ball goes back to Indiana.
Just under 3 minutes remaining in the third quarter. Tinsley with the step. Tinsley with the bucket. Just did beat Ben Wallace, who was going for the blocked shot. And again, the Pacers take a 2-point lead.
And when Tinsley penetrates, even if he doesn't make that shot, he's drawing Ben Wallace to try to block the shot. That's what leaves Jeff Foster open for all these offensive rebounds. That's how Indiana's gotten back in this game.
McDyess off the mark. Pacers now have Tinsley and Fred Jones at the guards. Foster with Jackson and O'Neal up front. Foster! And a foul. Mike Callahan pointing at the bucket. And Larry Brown very upset. It's called in the act. It's on McDyess. That's his second. And Jeff Foster will head to the free throw line. Foster 0 for 2 at the line.
I think Larry was upset because it was a very late call. It looked to me like he got hit on his way to the hoop, and Mike Callahan called it after a little delay. That's what Larry is upset about. Take a look at the play. Another beautiful feed from Tinsley. You see the bump. Clearly, McDyess gets a piece of him, and Larry didn't like it, but frequently the coaches will not be happy when the call is made after that brief delay.
Jeff Foster with 14 rebounds. He had 13 in Game 1. Game 7 Saturday night in Boston with Indiana wrapping up that series. Foster 12 rebounds, 9 points. And And that will put the Pacers over the limit. It is on Foster.
And Wallace will go to the line, so maybe not the worst of fouls. Not that it was intentional, but Foster has been Indiana's answer to Ben Wallace. Been a monster on the offensive boards, keeping balls alive, creating extra possessions for Indiana. And really, he's outplayed Ben here tonight.
Wallace trying the rainbow approach. He's now 2 of 5 at the line. Here's Rip Hamilton checking back in, coming on for Chauncey Billups, and we'll check in with Craig Sager.
Well, Rip Hamilton went out early in that third quarter. He got kicked in the right calf, went to the bench, had some tingling in his foot, took his shoes off, got a little massage. Decided he's okay now and going back in.
All right, Craig, we're down to a minute 50 left in the third. Indiana's lead is 3. Detroit is led by as many as 15. They had led most of the way. O'Neal squares up. O'Neal with the head fake on McDyess. Beautiful shot by Jermaine O'Neal. You can see McDyess digging in, and a series of fakes created the space.
That was Duncan-esque right there. He sort of just kind of bided his time, tried to find the advantage, and then one dribble left, pull up.
Hunter, McDyess, and a foul. So McDyess will head to the line.
Here's what I'm talking about. You've seen Tim Duncan lull people to sleep so often. Usually he'll kiss the ball off the glass, and McDyess does a nice job on O'Neal, who just responds by putting the ball on the floor, one big step left, and then hits the fadeaway.
Jermaine O'Neal with 20 points. 10 have come here in the third quarter. And Jermaine will get a rest. Austin Crozier, who had been out of the rotation for most of the series against the Celtics. He finished the regular season 1 for his last 21 from the field.
It would really help Indiana if he could make just a shot or two, because he would stretch out that Detroit defense. And I like his substitution. Remember, O'Neal admitted to being tired the other night in the second half, said, I probably should have come out. Good time to sit him on the bench right here.
Detroit has a foul again, and Hunter with the steal. Chased by Crozier. He slipped, able to maintain the dribble. And let's see what the call is here. Kick ball, says Mike Callahan.
Lindsay with a little Curly Neal impersonation stumbles and somehow keeps his dribble. Take a look, the steal, and Hunter actually just stumbles on his own, and Marcus Haynes, Curly Neal, I'm not sure which Globetrotter he was impersonating there, but the kick by the Pacers, and Detroit retains possession.
See, both Marcus and Curly very adept at that maneuver. And a foul is called as Hamilton tried to cut along the baseline, but was blocked by Anthony Johnson. Hamilton will go to the free throw line. He's making his first appearance at the line.
Well, these are 3 points right here. You can't give Detroit anything like this. Hamilton about an 86% foul shooter. And if you're Rick Carlisle, you hate to see a couple freebies. How about Lindsey Hunter here? I thought at first Crozier might have tripped him up, but he just lost his balance. And then here's that little floor dribble, and he retains possession. Nice job by Lindsey Hunter.
Indiana's lead is 1. The final minute of this third quarter. Greg Jones played tightly by Richard Hamilton. Here's Stephen Jackson for 3. And Wallace with the rebound. Prince goes behind the back, but Jackson able to stay with him. McDyess. Tony McDyess, who has come back from 3 surgeries on his left knee within a 19-month period and has bounced back as a major contributor for the Pistons. 6-0 run for Detroit. Pacers holding for a final shot of the third. Pistons back up by 1. There's Johnson to the left hand. Crozier finding Jackson for 3. So that is the end of the third quarter. Indiana outscores Detroit 28-19. We're headed to the fourth. It is game 2 of this best of 7 Eastern Conference semifinal series. Detroit up by 1. Town in the Detroit area. As we welcome you back, we are at the Palace of Auburn Hills getting ready for the fourth quarter, and it's been a good one. Pacers getting back into it. Detroit looking to hold on to this lead up by 1. Just a couple of guys talking basketball. Kid Rock and perennial NHL All-Star Chris Chelios, now of the Motor City Mechanics of the United Hockey League, I'm told, in the absence of the National Hockey League.
Oh, we saw a power play early in the first half.
Yes,
you mentioned it. And Red Wings fans haven't seen many of those this year, have they?
Tayshaun Prince one-hands it, knocked away. Knocked out of bounds by about Tinsley. It'll be Detroit ball.
Well, I'm sure what Larry Brown talked about in that huddle before the fourth quarter is let's remember who we are. Let's regain control of this game by playing half-court defense and getting the ball inside, playing inside out, not just settling for lone jump shots.
Wayne O'Neal with a strong third quarter. He's back on the floor. He has 20 points in all 10 of the 20 coming in the third. Jamal Tinsley has played well, leading this comeback. Hamilton guarded by Fred Jones. Antonio McDyess. Nice move. Called in by Dale Davis. Jeff Foster to the bench. Davis is back playing with 4 fouls. Jeff Foster, a major factor for the Pacers. Tinsley, rebounded by Davis, went down, lost his balance. Here's Hunter on the open floor. Here's Hunter, rejected by O'Neal.
Oh, my. Another left-handed block by O'Neal. Take a look here. Lindsey Hunter tries to get the finger roll up and over. Couldn't quite do it.
That's 5 blocked shots for Jermaine O'Neal. A minute gone by in the fourth. Hunter. McDyess, shot clock down to 4. Down to 2, down to 1. 1-4-second violation. Excellent defensive sequence by the Pacers.
Well, let's not forget, this is a great defensive team in its own right, Indiana, and this is the kind of pace they really like. Yes, they want to get out and get some easy hoops, but in the end, they win games with their defense. Remember, of course, the series between these two teams last year was so low scoring because both clubs just pounded each other defensively.
Last season, Indiana won 61 games, best record in the NBA, but they lost to Detroit in 6 in the Eastern Conference Finals. Here's O'Neal, the shot deflected short by McDyess.
And this game is starting to take on the tone of those games from last year. Of course, Ron Artest not here, which weakens the Pacers' defense considerably, but they're still a very defensive-minded team.
Hamilton's pass broken up. James Jones on it. Able to hand it off. Tinsley with Fred Jones on the far side, but the Pistons get back. O'Neal. Pistons 69 and the Pacers 68 with 2 minutes gone by in the fourth. Pistons have hit only 1 of their last 9 shots. McDyess, rebounded by Davis. Tinsley making his move on Hunter, went behind the back and lost it. Prince, yes. Detroit with a 3-point lead, and Rick Carlisle calls for time.
Oh, you see it so often, Marv. A turnover at one end and an easy shot at the other, although Prince has to get it up and over Dale Davis. Beautiful stroke by Tayshaun Prince.
Listen up, Sprague remix.
Coming up in the second of our doubleheader, Dallas and Phoenix. In the Valley of the Sun, Dirk Nowitzki upset with the play of center Eric Dampier, who has not responded in the postseason against Houston, and then in game 1 against Phoenix. Little message from Dirk. Here's Miller. Yes, Reggie Miller. He has 13 points. That ends an 8-0 run by Detroit. Indiana scoreless prior to that shot by Miller for the last 4 minutes and 20 seconds. So it's a 1-point Piston lead.
And you see Indiana's gone back to that matchup of Reggie on Rip and Jackson on Tayshaun.
Here's Wallace. He was rejected. Dale Davis got a piece of it. Tinsley to O'Neal in the post. Rebounded by Davis. And here's Davis putting it home.
The Pacers' offensive rebounding tonight, Marv, has given them a huge lift. And remember, we talked before the game. This game was about energy and effort. They didn't match Detroit's in game one. They certainly have taken it right at the Pistons here tonight.
36-year-old Dale Davis giving the Pacers a 1-point lead. Jackson able to get a piece of that dribble from Prince, but it comes right back. Tayshaun Prince has 19. Pistons by 1. And Steven Jackson right back beating the Pistons down court.
That's what we're going to see in the second game tonight. Phoenix and Dallas. We hardly ever see that in this matchup.
Pacers 74, Pistons 73. Knocked away from Prince. This time Jackson was able to come up with the steal. He nearly had it a moment ago. Nice pass. An interior pass from O'Neal to Davis, leading to the foul.
Jermaine O'Neal has had a sensational night, not only scoring down on the block, but finding people and just creating offense for Indiana. He only has 2 assists, but the offense has been run through him, and he has threatened Detroit's defense and made them respond.
Foul was charged to Ben Wallace. It's his second. Very quiet night for Ben. He does have 14 rebounds, but not quite the same at the offensive end we saw game one. Shot clock down to 5. Jackson lost the dribble. Now Jeff Foster will check back in, so Jermaine O'Neal will get a brief rest. And Rick Carlisle goes with the combination of Foster and Davis as his big man.
And again, we talked about it earlier. O'Neal visibly tired the other night, admitted that he was. So Carlisle doing the right thing here, trying to buy him a couple of minutes just so he can come on strong late in the game.
And Jermaine said it affected his shot selection after that good start. Here's Phillips from downtown. That will not count. It hit over the top of the glass and then ricocheted home.
Well, they ran a nice little veer play here for Billups, but watch, he's fading away. You see that right leg kick out. He never quite got set. That's why the shot was a little off target. A lot of the fans here in the rafters thought that just bounced right in. They couldn't see it knock off the shot clock.
Indiana up by 1. Miller and Hamilton just knocking themselves out. Running circles. Shot clock to 4. Tinsley. And the rebound swept by Ben Wallace. Here's Rasheed Wallace ahead of the field. Detroit 75, Indiana 74, 6.5 remaining in the fourth quarter. Miller works off the pick and fires. Yes! A 3-pointer for Reggie Miller. Ben Wallace came out on a switch, but could not get to Reggie.
Well, you mentioned a moment ago, Marv, Hamilton and Miller are running each other crazy off these screens, and Miller is the master. Remember, Hamilton has learned a lot from Reggie, but Reggie's still the master. He proves it there.
16 for Miller. That's his second 3-pointer. Indiana leads by 2. And Wallace returns, and Tayshaun Prince able to stop to tie the game.
How long is that left arm, Marv? I mean, it looked like he just extended it about a foot further than his arm actually was. And a beautiful feed from Ben Wallace, Marv. Take a look here, the pass, and look at the extension Tayshaun Prince.
Sin cars and SUVs, visit HyundaiUSA.com. Buy Wagner. Be a super painter with the full line of Wagner power painting tools. Paint fast, paint smart. Buy Southwest Airlines, official airline of the NBA. And buy McDonald's.
Back at the Palace of Auburn Hills for the Indiana Pacers. There have been many stories here tonight. Foremost, perhaps, the return of Reggie Miller to his usual playoff form. In fact, Steve, he's hit 5 of his last 7 shots, 16 points in all. His first good ball game since back in Game 3 against the Celtics.
Well, I loved his approach from the beginning, Marv. He really took the ball to the basket on Tayshaun Prince early in this game. He really looked to attack off the dribble, and I thought that got him in the right mindset. And, of course, Indiana got a couple of transition opportunities to find him for open shots. He's in his rhythm. He's aggressive. We'll see if he can make a couple more here in the last 5:45 of this game.
And a terrific finish. We've had 5 lead changes the last 2.5 minutes. Game tied at 77. Miller has to fire it up. Foster makes the catch and puts it home. That's how it's gone for Reggie Miller of the Indiana Pacers here in the 4th quarter. Reggie has 10 of Indiana's last 22 points.
That's 15 boards for Foster. He's been the unsung hero tonight for Indiana.
Pacers 79, Detroit 77. Shot clock to 5. Hamilton cannot hit. Rebounded by O'Neal. Tinsley checks with Rick Carlisle at the Indiana bench. Miller for 3. Yes! And we have now reached the point of a Reggie Miller flashback.
Wow. The aggressiveness, Marv. He's just not even looking, just attacking at every opportunity.
Pacers up by 5. It's their biggest lead of the night. Hamilton working hard, can't find the shot. Ben Wallace gives it right back, and Hamilton is tripped up by Miller.
Marv, Reggie has been so aggressive from the outset tonight. Watch this. He just catches the ball. Doesn't even look. Just sees that sliver of daylight and knocks in the 3. He's in rhythm. Got 19 points, and he's feeling it right now.
Phillips lost the handle. It's a 3-on-2 for the Pacers. Miller from downtown. Rebounded by Ben Wallace.
Oh, he wanted that one. It's a great look by Tinsley to find Miller, and that's one he normally knocks down.
Pass broken up. Another Piston turnover.
Boy, they have been so impatient since the first quarter. Offensively, they've got nothing. And again, that's their one weakness as a team. They'll go through these stretches where they cannot put the ball in the basket.
Jermaine O'Neal, yes. O'Neal over Ben Wallace. Indiana leads by 7. Larry Brown very upset. A 7-0 run by the Pacers. And a timeout taken by Detroit. This crowd has been silenced. And a steal. Miller retreats to the 3-point line and hits it again. Miller for the win. Miller for 3. Oh, he backed it in. Here's Reggie. Oh, baby! He did it again. He has had an illustrious 18-year NBA career, one of the premier clutch shooters in the history of the game, and 15 of his 19 have come in the second half. Phillips for 3, way off, and rebounded by Miller as we come up on 3.5 remaining in the 4th quarter. Indiana with a 7-point lead.
And I think Detroit's offensive impatience, Marv, has led to Indiana getting some fast break opportunities, some shots for Miller in transition. That's changed this game.
O'Neal Tied up momentarily, able to recover. The tip by Foster. What a performance by Jeff Foster. 10 points, 16 rebounds.
It's all about energy, effort. That's what this team was lacking in game one, and now Miller draws the offensive foul from Tayshaun Prince.
9 unanswered points by the Pacers. We're down to 3 minutes, 3 seconds to play in the fourth quarter. Indiana seeking to tie the series at 1. Game 3 will take place at Conseco Fieldhouse Friday night. Game 4 Sunday in Indianapolis. This after the 15-point blowout by Detroit in game 1. O'Neal comes up short, but it's Foster grabbing another rebound. Tinsley from way downtown. It went short, but Foster is there.
Are you kidding me? Jeff Foster. Wow, what a performance.
88-77, Indiana. Tinsley saying, give me an assist. Yeah, that was a shot attempt. Here's Prince. Now Rasheed Wallace for 3. They cannot hit a shot. Hamilton rejected by Foster. Jeff Foster with 18 rebounds. That's a playoff career high for the 6th-year man out of Texas State, who, like Austin Crozier during the course of that series against the Celtics, was out of the rotation.
He was out of the loop because of Boston's smaller lineup. Now he's getting a little greedy, shooting 20-footers. But why not? He's earned it tonight. And the offensive boards really have killed Detroit.
A time of foul called on Foster. That'll put Prince at the line. You get the idea this crowd is stunned.
They're shocked, especially after that first quarter. But ever since then, it's been the Jeff Foster show. You see the offensive board, throws it back out. Then this is just his night. Catches Tinsley's miss, lays it in. Terrific effort by this guy. 12 points, but as you mentioned, Mark, 19 boards. And so many of them on the offensive end to give Indiana those extra possessions that they didn't have in game 1.
That ends an 11-0 run. Detroit had been scoreless in 4 minutes and 10 seconds. Lindsey Hunter back for Rip Hamilton. Getting back to Jeff Foster. It's been an injury-hit season for Foster. Grabs
number 20.
Another rebound. Earlier he sat out recovering from hip surgeries and back problems. Always a very valuable player. Guy does the little stuff on loose balls, keeps it alive off the glass. They swing it. Tinsley for 3. And it carries out of bounds. We're down to 1:22 to play.
I always think the little stuff should actually be called the big stuff, because you get that many offensive rebounds and loose balls, and you create so many possessions for your teammates. That's the difference in the ballgame tonight for the Pacers.
Puts him alongside Jermaine O'Neal. So Mel Daniels had a 27-rebound game in the Pacer ABA days. Crozier is fouled, so he will head to the line.
Well, good substitution by Rick Carlisle. He gets Foster out of the game, and the better free throw shooter and ball handler in Austin Crozier. Crozier will go to the line. And, of course, Foster being congratulated by his teammates over there on the bench. An amazing effort.
So the Pacers now lead 91-81. Now we're told that Jeff Foster is actually 2 rebounds short of the Pacer NBA playoff record. Jermaine O'Neal had 22 rebounds against the Celtics in April of 2003.
So much for our crack staff.
Yeah.
Feeding us with false information. Thanks a lot, guys.
Nevertheless, a pretty fair night for Jeff Foster.
And for the Pacers, and obviously this makes this a series now.
Tayshaun Prince down to 26 seconds. So the Indiana Pacers able to win here in Detroit to tie the series at 1. James Jones just pops it right back out. An outstanding bounce-back performance by an Indiana team that lost in a rout in Game 1. They lost by 15 points. Jackson fires it up. This a game that was tied at 77. And Indiana went on a 13-1 run to go up by 12. Larry Bird enjoyed it, as did Donnie Walsh. Larry, the president of basketball operations, sitting with Donnie Walsh, president of the Indiana Pacers. Indiana wins it 92-83. Jermaine O'Neal with 22 points, 10 rebounds. Reggie Miller, an extraordinary second half, finished with 19 points in all. And Jeff Foster, 14 points and 20 rebounds. All right, let's check in with Craig with Jeff Foster.
Oh, thank you, Marv. I saw Jeff, you looking at the stat sheet. Were you surprised when you saw 20 rebounds?
I've been trying to get 20 all year. I think I had 18 3 times, so just nice for it to come on a night like this when we're able to get a big win.
We talked about all year. So many things happened to the Pacers this year, having to come and over so many obstacles. One of them, you with the hip injury, missing like 21 games. You think that maybe you're finally getting better?
You know, a lot of guys went through a lot of things this year on this team, whether it was injuries or obviously all the suspensions, and we've just tried as a team to persevere, and you know, we're coming together at the right time, and you know, it's 1-1. We got one here, but we got to work cut out for us going home, and we got to protect that home court now.
What about Reggie Miller? Obviously, a lot of people said this would be his last time here in the Palace. He got you going with a big lift too. Talk about what's going on in the locker room. Why you guys thought you could win this game?
Well, we came out really flat in that last game. Obviously, I think fatigue maybe had a little bit to do with it, but I think everybody just dug down real deep tonight. We came out, played a great game, and got a big win.
Not only the rebounds, but your all-around game tonight, scoring the points, playing great defense. Talk about your overall game.
You know, I'm just out there playing the team system, trying to fit in and be part of the team, and our coaching staff has a great team defense set up for us, and I just happen to fit in real well with it, and a lot of guys fed off each other tonight and helped each other out.
Terrific game. Here, you can keep the stat sheet.
Thanks, Craig. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Marv.
Craig providing gifts now for post-game guests.
I wonder if did he sign it for him too?
Thanks to our producer, Scooter Bertito, our director, Renardo Lowe, and our statistician, Brian Taylor. Once again, the final score, a come-from-behind win. The Pacers trailing by as many as 15, defeat the Pistons.
At the point, but Jeff Foster was the difference in the game.
14 points, 20 rebounds, goes 6 for 11, comes up with a defensive plays, too, that were big in this game, with a late block here.
Well, we often talked about Detroit.
We're on our test not playing, and when with the Indiana Pacers, it's not a good thing.
You just said you're going to correct it. In what way and how?
You got to improve yourself, you know. You get older, you mature, and you have to improve yourself. And you should want to improve yourself, you know, if things are not going the right way. And that's how I'm going to do. I'm going to make sure I improve myself. And when I go into these away arenas, and even in my home arena, I'm going to be there to play basketball.
And how much damage do you think has been done to the NBA?
I'm not sure exactly. Things happen, you know. The Bear Cup was thrown. You can't take it back because it happened already. So the best thing to do is move on. And I forgive everyone that did things towards me. People who kind of got my emotions to run a little bit high. I'm forgiven.
Is it hard for you to control your anger?
It's very easy. I could have easily, on November 19th, when we beat Detroit, I could have easily, you know, reacted against Ben Wallace. But I chose to not react. And I chose to, you know, take the high road, you know, and we were winning the game. And at that point, if anybody, you know, was to get pushed, they would want to react. But as you can see, I just said, okay, you know, my team is in control and I just want to go home.
But if you had the mechanism to control your anger with Ben Wallace,
right,
why wasn't that mechanism in place 20 seconds later when you were lying down when the beer came?
I didn't expect Ben Wallace to react as he did. And I didn't expect, I never had beer thrown in my face before, you know. Nobody just ever threw anything at me, with the exception of a few times, but nobody ever just came up to me and threw beer in my face. So sometimes I ask people, you know, what would you have, you know, done in that situation, and get different feedback. and I get, mixed answers.
How certain are you that this won't happen again?
I'm positive. I think things happen in someone's life, and you got to go through things to know how to make the right decision the next time. So I know what I did wasn't right. It was only a cup. It wasn't like it was a brick, So I realized that, and I realize now that it's more important for me to be playing than to be home watching the games.